Hey guys, it's Anesthesia, and I'm going to be talking about my first semester of CRNA school. So we're going to be doing this video a little bit differently. Usually you're used to me having a little setup. We're going to walk around, talk, and just have a good time. And you guys will kind of see like my neighborhood, how I live, and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. So we're going to be going through a series of questions, basically. So let's talk about my classes. So how many were there? What were they like? Issues and grades. So I had 6 classes this semester. 3 were our D&P courses. So they were writing-based courses, evidence-based knowledge, that type of thing. We wrote a lot of papers, so that was a big change. Writing in a doctoral manner versus writing for fun are completely different. And I had to learn that. So it was definitely an adjustment there. One of my classes, it was really hard to adjust. I'm a really good writer, but this one professor, we just didn't really have the best communication all the time. And there were a lot of issues with our course, and that led to me having to work really hard for my grade, harder than I've ever worked for a grade. But it was a really great experience. I'm glad that, the semester is wrapping up here and that class is over with. For my anesthesia course, I had 3 anesthesia courses, 2 main ones. I had my human anatomy and physiology course, and then I had my advanced pharmacology course. So my human anatomy course, we went through every system: liver, kidney, endocrine, respiratory, cardiovascular, neuro, in 14 weeks. Plus we had our advanced pharmacology class that went through a ton of drug classes. We didn't really learn a lot about inhalation agents or volatile anesthetics, which are medications we use to put people to sleep, because that's for next semester. But we really based our groundwork in how do drugs work? What are the pharmacodynamics and pharmacodynamics? So meaning, how does the drug enter the body, right? So if I give a drug IV, how does it get to the bloodstream? So it's direct. Whereas if I take a drug PO, the drug can go through what's called first pass effect and break down in the stomach. And then you might have had 100% drug in your hand, but it's only 50% or 10% when it gets to the body or to the site of action. So these are really important concepts that integrate into all types of understanding of anesthesia. So then I had one final course, which is called our final doctoral project, and we're working on our D&P project that we're going to present at the end of the 3 years. My project is going to be a kind of implementation on obstetric anesthesia, using ultrasound guidance with placement of epidural needles within patients who have scoliosis or mechanical hardware, because that can be very difficult when you have somebody who has a very abnormal or different expectation of anatomy than what you'd expect from your textbook. When you go out to practice, it's not going to be like it is on a textbook. So let's kind of just keep walking around. Let's talk. So when we have our classes, our main classes were Tuesday and Wednesday. I would go from class on Tuesday from about 8 a.m. to 12 to 1 p.m. And then on Wednesday, we'd have class for about 2 hours from 9 to 11. And so then realistically, our other classes, so our D&P classes, were online and self-guided. So those classes, we were able to do what we needed to do by ourselves and get those things done on their time schedule. So they're called asynchronous classes, which is super nice. We don't have to always be at our university or at our medical center to go to classes. But one of the other classes I had to do was advanced pathophysiology, which was a great class because it taught us a lot about just general pathology while we're learning about the anatomy. So there's a lot of correlation between our anatomy class and our pathology class too. So let's kind of keep going, and then we can talk some more. And here's obviously my doormat. It's fun to look at. An off-white little play there. So how did I do? So in my anesthesia courses, I got all A's throughout our quizzes, our exams, and I got both A's in my pharmacology class and my anatomy class. My other classes, we haven't got all of our grades back yet, but it's looking pretty solid. So you're probably wondering, how did I get an A? realistically, what I did was I just worked really hard on what the professors wanted from me. What did they expect out of me? And how did I have to change myself to get there? And that's a huge thing. It's about being reflective and understanding that your professors want you to do well. The question is, what are you willing to do to get there? A big thing that helped me with studying anatomy and physiology was trying to figure out what helped other people to get to where they were successful in their classes. This could be anything from flashcards, Quizlet, Anki, reading PowerPoints, rewriting notes, printing out notes, rewriting them again. And what I found that for me, I'm really good at just reading the book and looking through PowerPoints. I don't need to do flashcards, and that's just me personally. When I get to another class, it might be completely different. But the important thing is to figure out what you are good at in terms of how you study and how you can be successful in your courses. So let's talk about diet and exercise. So for me, the big thing with that exercise was that I wanted to build a routine. And what I mean by that is I wanted to make it so that I was focused and I had my time associated with things throughout the whole day. With dieting, what I thought was important was to make sure that I was having a diet that I could follow. I chose to do intermittent fasting. And what it kind of does is it kind of keeps me disciplined in the sense of like, I know, okay, well, I can't eat for this amount of time. You know, how am I going to prepare for when I can eat? Or how am I going to prepare for when I have class or something going on? Give me a second here. Let's go drop this off at the car, and because we're going to go in there anyways to go somewhere real quick. So what I really want to do is I wanted to stop eating fast foods. I wanted to have a better lifestyle overall. So I really went back into eating like salads. I didn't want to be really carb heavy, so we eat like low carb rice, low carb bread. I don't personally meal plan or meal prep. I meal plan, but I don't meal prep. So I'll plan out like, okay, me and my girlfriend will be like, okay, we're gonna have this meal this day or this day, but we don't, cook a bunch of meals and then eat them throughout the week. I just think that's kind of boring, and I love cooking a lot. Some meals that I really enjoy cooking are Greek bowls. So we'll do like chicken, Greek style. We'll have onions, tomatoes. Yesterday we had Tyson's General Tso's, and we cooked some vegetables with that to make it a little more healthy. We use less sauce to kind of like decrease calorie intake. And then obviously drinking a lot of water, skipping out on like sodas, and obviously skipping out on like drinking every day will definitely help you not take a bunch of calories all the time. So we're gonna go over here. This is our community room. Let's see if anyone's in here. No. We can go right over here. So then with dieting, the big thing wasn't for me to have a specific goal. When I first started, I wanted to like obviously not eat a lot of calories, but as I got better, just having a routine, it made it just a bunch easier. With exercising, we just started having a gym routine. I'd go to the gym about 3 to 5 times a week. And what I personally do is I do push-pull legs, and that's been super helpful to me. I go, at the beginning of the semester, I was going around like 5 in the morning. So I'd wake up, brush my teeth, and just go directly to the gym, work out for about an hour, and my classes started till like 8 or 9 o'clock. So that was super beneficial. And then I would come back, study for a little bit, prepare for class, and then go. As we got through midterms, that kind of changed for me because I was noticing that I didn't have a lot of energy after class, I would like want to take a nap, or it'd just be hard for me to like get the gears going. So what I did was I changed my workout to right after my class. So when I get done with class around 12 or 1, get home, get dressed, go straight to the gym, go about an hour, hour and a half, and then boom, I'm already pumped, ready for the day. I'll study for about 2-3 hours, eat dinner around 5 or 6, and then, we have a perfect schedule where I just keep my energy up. And in the morning, if I wake up and I want to do something kind of outdoorsy, what I'll do is I will go on a bike ride, or I'll go on a small walk for anything. So I don't drink any coffee. I do drink pre-workout, but really I just use that to like get really hyped up for the gym. It's like a perfect way to kind of, if you're trying to like push weight, or you're trying to really maximize your workouts, that's a great way to do it, even if you're not a big caffeine drinker like me. And even a little bit of caffeine takes me to like the next level, so it's perfect. Let's keep walking around. Ty was just saying, who's my best friend, camera guy, business associate, everything, that Alani has like 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is fair. So I usually will do like 1/4 or half of it. I don't usually do a whole one, because truthfully, if I do a whole shot of pre-workout, I'm absolutely ready to rip the paint off the wall. So I try to like keep it calm sometimes. I will do all 200 sometimes if I'm really trying to get crazy. I'm trying to like PR or something, but usually not. So do I work out with my classmates? No, I don't work out with my classmates. I have a few classmates who do work out a bunch, and I would probably work out with them. Obviously, it's like nerve-wracking to work out with somebody, because you just don't know like how hard they go. Once I worked out with Ty, and I almost lost my life, so that wasn't fun. But it's always a great way to kind of like, find a new activity that you can share with your classmates. And should you wake up early? That's a great question. And I think yes, like as early as you can. I have classmates that wake up at like 7, 8, 9, like normal people time. But I personally like waking up at like 5 or 6. 6 is late for me. And it's really great because you get to hit the day early. I can look at what I need to get done. I can plan my day out. And it gives me time to like kind of like relax, watch the sunset. And I don't know, it helps you take everything in. So that's a great way to kind of like start your day. So let's talk about studying habits. So how much I study, what time during the day, set up, and change to improve. Okay, so how much do I study? You're gonna hear people say that they study 10, 12 hours a day, every single day. Now, here's what I'm gonna say to you about that is that, yes, you can do that. Yes, you can study 10 to 12 hours a day, but is it effective studying? Are you really grasping the knowledge that you're trying to acquire in a good manner where you can keep that knowledge for later on? People will study to regurgitate on a test, but what we're trying to do as CRNAs, and a lot of you guys are in other medical professions, you're trying to save somebody's life, to keep them safe. And to do that, you need to keep your knowledge. You can't just have knowledge and then pass it off. Like, that just isn't a good strategy. And usually knowledge builds on itself. So one thing I would advise you guys to do is to study in a way that keeps your brain engaged in focus. If that means you studying for 6 hours and that's enough for you, that's okay. There's not a bar that needs to be set and that you need to reach that bar all the time. But what I would say is that you need to find a schedule that fits for you. So for me, I will wake up, like I said before class, I'll study a little bit. I'll look over the notes that we're gonna be talking about and go from there. And then after class, I will go home, look over the PowerPoint we just reviewed, kind of digest it, what my professor calls chew on it. Then after I've chewed on it, I will go take a break for an hour. So then I'll come back refreshed and I'll study a whole different topic. Because my brain, like, I can't imagine going through the same PowerPoint or the same PowerPoints 5, 6, 7 times. That just isn't effective for me. What I can imagine is switching back and forth between pathophysiology, through anatomy, through all these different things to help kind of like keep your brain engaged and keep you like wanting to like read and learn more. Now, what that turns out for me is that it helps with, one, my social life. I can actually keep, engaged with friends. And that's one big thing you lose in CRNA school, is that you kind of like lose touch with the world. But I didn't want to sacrifice that because for me, I'm 24 years old. I still want to have a life, and I don't want to just kind of like lose all of that. That would suck for me and the people around me. So if I have to sacrifice waking up early, hitting the books late at night, that's perfectly fine. Now for setup, and we'll show you guys a quick little video later about my setup, is I use an iPad Pro. It's the newest version, and it's, I think, 11 inches, 12 inches, whichever is a similar one to the MacBook Air, and they're the same size. So it's almost like I have two laptops. I have a wireless keyboard. I have a trackpad. I have a speaker next to my setup, which is vital. The laptop wouldn't even matter if I didn't have the speaker, because I love listening to some music while I'm studying at calm and at ease. Like what some people talk about, a lot of athletes talk about this, is called flow, and getting into a flow. When you're in a flow, it feels like you are transcending and you're just zooming through these notes, but you're understanding it at a capacity that you didn't think you could. And that's one of my favorite things to do. Another thing that is really vital for me is I wanted to create a space where I really like to study. If you just have this like boring desk where you go and you study, it might not really feel that great. So something where you have a study place where it feels like you can engage and you like where you're studying, that can be super helpful for you and helping you want to be there to actually study. Aesthetics, people make fun of it, but it definitely is pleasing to be somewhere where you like to study. So let's get in my car and we're gonna talk about being 24 and kind of what it feels like to be in CRNA school. And I'm gonna talk to you guys about being a business owner with my friends and how we mesh all of that together too. So with being as young as I am and being in CRNA school, it can be super difficult at times. Obviously, like imposter syndrome is a big thing. Feeling like you're not ready to be in this profession is obviously a thing, and that really happens at any age. But the big thing is like you have to realize that you're dedicating 3 years of your life, and we have like 3,000 clinical hours. So the big thing there is that you need to make sure that you are checking in on yourself, your wellness, doing things that you like to do and that keep you like energized and motivated to stay in our profession, because burnout is huge. Burnout's huge in nursing, burnout's huge in an MD degree, burnout's huge in the CRNA world too. So my car's gonna beep until Ty puts on the seatbelt. What I also want to say about being 24 and in CRNA school is that you need to really realize that you have a life. Like, we are dedicating our younger years to this profession, and we'll be honestly pretty young when we come out. Like, I'll be 27 and being able to hopefully have a fully autonomous job, something that I can, grow with for the next 20, 30 years. I can become a teacher, I could work in administration, I could be a chief CRNA. There's just so many options out there for me after I graduate. But right now, like, I will never get these years back. So how do you, live while being in CRNA school? Well, the big thing is that you need a plan. You need to make sure that you're planning out, like, okay, well, if I'm going to, let's say, go out with my friends, hang out with my family, go on a trip, you need to be able to plan that out. So you need to dedicate time during that trip or during that event, before or after, where you are going to dedicate time to studying. You are not going to study 24 hours a day. Look at me. You're not going to study 24 hours a day. So your brain can't even retain that much information for that full amount of time. Like, if you were to look at studies and how much information you actually retain when you're studying, you'd be shocked. So the question is, how do I effectively keep information and still do the things I like to do? Well, for me, let me give you an example. I went to Arizona recently, and in the morning, I'd wake up really early, around like 5 or 6 o'clock, just get situated, go to this like really long dining table at our Airbnb, and I would study for 4 hours. The first day, I think I studied for like 6-7 hours. And I was studying to prepare for my final that was like 3-4 weeks away. So I'm already in the mindset of my finals. All I had the next week was quizzes. So I was building this groundwork on like, okay, I'm going to study really hard. I'm going to get myself prepared for what's coming next. And the biggest thing is that when you do that, you can really help set yourself up for future things that you want to do. And when I would study for that time, I'd make sure people left me alone. I'd have my headphones in, and I would tell people like, hey, if I get the studying done, I'm free for the rest of the day. I might have to study one more time during the day, but that's pretty much it. And realistically, they would be more than happy to let me study and get what I need to get done because they want me to have a good time with them. So realistically, you just have to be honest with people. And when you're honest with people, they're more willing to really bend with. Now let's talk about what I hope for next semester in my first semester of CRNA school. So with my next semester, I'm going to be taking what's called Basic Principles of Anesthesia. And that's where we're going to be learning about the anesthesia machine. We're going to learn about different devices, like how to place A lines, how to place CVP lines, how to put in a Swan-Ganz catheter or a pulmonary artery catheter. And so there'll be a lot of like lab stuff that we're going to be doing, which is going to be fun. And hopefully I can get a few videos of me like doing that stuff and showing you how to do it, because that'll help me learn it and help you guys see something cool. I'll also be taking Advanced Pharmacology Part 2, and I'll be learning about inhalation drugs, induction drugs, and everything in between. So all the anesthesia drugs I'll be using every single day to put somebody to sleep, manage them during their case, and to give them post-operatively to help with like post-operative nausea, vomiting, or anything else that might happen post-surgery. And then I'll be taking another course. So I'll be taking pharmacology for APNs. So it'd be advanced practicing nurses. So your nurse practitioners will be in there. And this is a very general pharmacology class, so not to worry about that one. And then we'll have 2 more DNP project based kind of classes where I'll be writing a bunch of papers, which is the boring stuff, the stuff that we don't really want to do, but it's part of the curriculum, and it helps us to grow as professionals too. So there's definitely an advantage of it in that sense. So don't love writing for DNP courses, but I see the benefit in it. So for me, the goals I have is, do I want to keep all A's? It doesn't really matter, because truthfully for me, that's not going to define you as a good CRNA. It's not going to define you as a good provider. So for me, it's about, did I learn what I need to learn these courses? Am I taking away that information in a good manner that I can help and recite it later for my patients? And then am I overall going to, really like embrace that knowledge? The A is just a letter to me, because when you graduate and you're in practice, no one's going to ask you what you got in an anatomy course. No one's going to care what you got in your basic principles of anesthesia. So it's going to be, did you keep the patient asleep and did you keep them alive? That is the 2 things that are most important during a case. And so some other goals I have, like I want to keep working out, keep dieting right. It's funny, with my diet and working out, my only goal is to get a 6-pack. That's it. I don't know why. I just think it's a fun goal to have. It's kind of funny. Keeps it kind of like light. Like I'm not trying to work too hard at it. But once I have it, the world will see it. I promise you that. And some other goals I have, I really don't have anything else. We're just kind of going to just continue growing. We're going to keep posting videos casually and just see where this takes us. And, I thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like and subscribe. LN Anesthesia out. And, it's a beautiful day in Columbus. Later.